a playlist original.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster. My name is Gaius Bowling, and in case you need a friendly reminder, Jackson is also here with me, and Jackson's here to stay. That'll be the last time I will give you guys a hint that hey, there's a new co-host, and we're and we're not switching people in and out yet.
You're stuck with me now, guys.
You're stuck for sure.
Happy to be here.
I want to say too, I got a message from my buddy David I went to middle school with, and he was like, even now, but a lot in middle school, we were just had the same movie taste. So it was kind of I guess the late 90s when all the Scream and I Know You Did Last Summer and all that stuff was out. That's
Great
when
time.
that's when we kind of fell in love with all of this kind of stuff. And he's, basically followed me until I got my first press job and all that kind of stuff. He listens to the podcast regularly, and what he said
Great.
when he heard your first official episode is that we already have pretty good podcast chemistry. So I thought that was a really good compliment from him.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
Dave or David?
David, yeah, David.
Thanks,
Park.
David.
Yeah, and
That's nice to hear.
He does the podcast thing too. He doesn't have a movie podcast. It's like a Jimmy Eat World podcast where they kind of go through different Jimmy Eat World songs. I had no idea there were that many to have a whole show on, but apparently there are. It's a really cool show though. I've listened to it a few times. But yeah, I want to let you know that. The one thing he did say was hey, does he have a mic? But you have a mic now, and you sound.
I got it. Yes,
you sound amazing.
Listeners rejoice. I will have a mic going forward. It's sounding much better, and I'm very happy about it. I feel all official now. Next, I'll be working on a set of headphones.
Yeah. You actually can hear what he actually sounds like, guys. So this is maybe this is your first official
Exactly.
episode where they can
now
actually
I sound like a
hear
podcaster.
You. Yeah, you do for sure. So what did you do this weekend? Did you watch anything, or is it just kind of a busy weekend, or pretty mellow?
Oh, it's never too busy for a watch or two. Every Sunday, my buddy Cam comes over. Tuesdays and Sundays, those are our days where I guaranteed I'm always getting a flick in on those 2 days if I'm not seeing something in throughout the week by myself. And we're showing my roommate currently for his first time. We're going through the Lord of the Rings series with him. So we got 2 towers in on Sunday, and it was amazing.
That's nice.
It's been a couple of years since I'd seen it last. So
yeah, it's so funny because on our spinoff, someone asked we get send in questions for the end of each episode so they can get to know us a bit better. And one of the questions to Owen was what's the movie you kind of grew up watching a lot, and does it still hold up for you today? And he mentioned basically the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Great choice.
And they're all really good, but you know what? I haven't seen a lot of them since they were in theaters. So I even own the extended. I own the extended edition too, which is a chore and a half probably to get through.
Yeah, probably all at once.
But maybe one day I will revisit that again, because I really haven't. It's not like I didn't like them. I thought they're really good. I just haven't taken the time to watch them again. But it's it's one of those things too, where my friends make comments hey, well then why'd you buy them on Blu-ray to not watch them again? I was
those are must-haves.
Yeah, you have to have it, and eventually I will pop it in. I think they're still in the packaging too, which is really funny. I haven't even opened it.
That's a sin.
Bad. So
get those in sometime. That'd be a great watch for you. And anytime you need your faith restored in cinema, I feel like the Lord of the Rings are a great series to go back to, just because on every single metric, they are absolutely astounding filmmaking. There's nothing I can pinpoint about them I don't like. And it's funny too how you mentioned Owen says he goes back to those as something that holds up across time. I feel like that's even more applicable these days, because it seems like every Lord of the Rings property that's come out since the original trilogy has been below that grade that the first ones. It just makes them even better over time.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Rings of Power here.
Rings of Power. The Rings of Power.
Rings of Power fans.
And I just remember making the Hobbit 3 movies when that wasn't really necessary. But I mean, I get
Yeah, I'll be
I
watching those
get why.
next.
I understand, like, because that was during that whole streak of like, let's take this like little thing and like extend it so we can make as much money from it as we can. It was like that
Yeah,
with the Hobbit, and then there was like that whole period too where you would like take the last movie. If it was based on a book, you would take that last movie and split it up into 2 parts. There was that whole trend for a little bit too to optimize how much
yeah.
money you're gonna make. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I what I remember fondly about the first 3 movies is that um, they were very well made. It made sense, for them to be as long as they were. It didn't really feel
There's a
like,
lot of material.
yeah, with a lot of material. It didn't feel like a chore when you were watching them. I do remember when I was watching the 3 Hobbit movies, I was like, this is unnecessary. I mean, I didn't hate them. I just like it wasn't necessary. And
Right.
then Rings of Power, I've
And
only
they're
watched
not.
like 2 or 3 episodes, and
Do you
eh,
think you'll go
yeah,
back?
yeah, we'll see. um,
I can't see myself seeing it, tuning in to watch it just from what I've seen, what I've heard. But
yeah,
I will be watching. I've never seen the Hobbits yet. I have them all on DVD. But I feel like it's just a necessary viewing just by going through Lord of the Rings again. Um, I guess I'm looking forward to a little bit of it, but like from what I understand, there's some issues with like a lot more original stuff in the movies that weren't present in the books. The books quite short, I think, in comparison. So I think the
yeah,
studio and the creators kind of had some leeway and threw in a lot of stuff of their own, which I don't think went over 100% well with
right.
some diehard fans. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. I'm honestly most looking forward to seeing Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug, because I've seen the trailer and loved the look of him and the sound, and I love
Yeah,
Benedict, so I'm excited for that.
yeah, yeah. It's hard to hate Benedict Cumberbatch. I feel like he's like a
He's
really
great.
like great diverse actor. Like I feel like he's done every type of
Yeah.
role,
And
which
what I
is
love about
crazy.
him is he does stuff in between his MCU performances, which some people you don't see any sort of work, just their MCU stuff while they're in that tenure. But he
Yeah,
he puts his fingers in a lot of pots, so he's all over the
that
place.
that's why I kind of call, or maybe it's just different for certain actors, but I'm not trying to be rude. I kind of call bullshit on some of them when they say like they're so busy with like Marvel that they can't
Mm,
they have no time for like their other. So Elizabeth Olsen has
I
said this,
agree.
like, and I love Elizabeth Olsen. I think she's a great actress.
That's right.
And she has said this. Zoe Saldana said it recently too, but she's a part of like several big franchises. I get it. They say they don't have time to do like their passion projects sometimes because, like, it's a very time consuming thing doing Marvel, and then when you sign up for a bunch of them, you have to be available to them when they need you. Um,
Yeah.
in the case of Elizabeth Olsen, like, she said that she's gotten a little lucky because she signed on for like a couple initially, and then when they wanted her back, they've asked her back. So she's been really lucky in the sense where it's not like, oh, you're tied down to like 7 of these with no choice. They're like, okay, no, we're gonna utilize you and use you. And she likes the character and wants to like kind of maintain that, but then she has said that she's turned down other things that she really wanted to do. But then you look at Benedict Cumberbatch, who like has been floating around between like these big mainstream like MCU properties, and then doing stuff that's a little bit more smaller, a little more intimate. So I think it's possible um,
Yeah, you
to
got to
do
make it
it.
work. It's all
Yeah,
depends on how you manage your time and how things line up, shooting wise and casting wise. So
yeah,
good for them for making stuff work in between MCU outlets.
I agree. You know what? Well, I wasn't as good as you. I didn't. I had a busy weekend with my friends when we went out a lot, so I didn't really
Okay.
watch much. But last night I did just because I was curious to see it. They did this like 3 part docu series called like The Price of Glee on the ID channel, and
Saw your
it
post
was,
on that actually. Yes.
yeah. So I was
Huh.
curious about
What's
it
your
because I was
thoughts on
like,
that?
yeah, I was curious about it because a docu series about you know Glee could be good if you had like all the principal people involved, because like for such like a pop cultural phenomenon, and for how like its heart being in the right place and like being such a happy show, it has like a lot of like really bad behind the scenes like stuff that kind of went on
Oh,
with
really? Eh?
yeah, like, I mean, you had like 3 actors from the show, which is what they kind of based this docu-series on, in probably the worst way. 3 actors from the show have died um
Right.
from it. So
Corey Monteith, I
Corey
recognize.
Monteith,
Yep.
yeah, he died during the show's
Canadian.
run. Yep, he died during the show's run right before season 5 of I think a heroin overdose. Mark Saling, who played Puck, after the show was over, he got indicted on like child pornography charges, and then he hung
Oh my
himself.
God.
And then
Jesus.
Naya Rivera, who played Santana Lopez on the show, unfortunately, she was on a boat with her 4-year-old son. I guess they were in a lake together. She was able to get him back onto the boat, and
Yes.
but she couldn't get herself back on before basically like I took drifted her away and she drowned.
I recall
Um,
that in the news. That's right.
yeah. So what the docuseries tried to do was try to tie in all this negative stuff about how they died into like, well, maybe it was the show and maybe it was like all the pressures of doing the show, right? But the only way that makes sense, I guess, is with Corey Monteith. There wasn't a good angle with like maybe it was just too much for him because he had, he had a drug and alcohol addiction in his teens until he was like 19 and
Hmm.
he went to rehab and then he got clean and then he goes to LA, gets his huge show, starts dating the main star, Lee Michelle. Like there's like a lot of pressure. And then of course they were saying that the cast and crew were working 70 hours a week on that show because it's so
Oh my God.
if they weren't acting, they were in dance class. If they weren't in dance class, they were in the booth recording songs. So they were always busy. And then on top of that, they had them touring like different cities, like doing like these Glee concert tours on top of doing the show. Because the
That's
show was like,
nonstop.
yeah, the show was like a huge moneymaker for Fox. I think they said at one point it was like of all of TV during its like first 2 seasons, it was like the fourth largest like revenue generating show at the time that it was on. Um, and it also made other people's music really popular. It brought back Journey, Don't Stop Believing. Like every time there was a show or music that was on Glee, it would chart again on like the Billboard like Hot 100 because all these kids were hearing these
Okay.
songs for the first time, and then like now they're like, oh, well, let me hear the original ones, and it was actually helping like all these other artists get rediscovered a bit. Um,
Well, that's awesome.
but the reason the
I never
docuseries
would have
didn't
guessed that for Glee.
at all, yeah, I mean the reason the docuseries didn't sit well with me is because they didn't talk to any of none of the actors wanted to be a part of it. Ryan Murphy, who created the show, wasn't a part of it. They did talk to like
Ryan
different
Murphy
people.
created Glee.
Yeah, he did.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
news to
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Okay.
He
Wow.
created Glee. They talked to like different hairdressers that worked from seasons 1 to 3, or like a director of photography who worked through seasons 3 through 5, or so there was random people like that, and then they had random like psychiatrists who didn't even work on the show or with the cast, like just give their 2 cents, like they were facts, and
What an
and
what
then
an
they interviewed.
odd.
And then they interviewed former
Yeah.
friends of some of them. Like they interviewed Corey Monteith's old roommate. His interview seemed genuine about like, about who he was as a person. They interviewed Naya Rivera's dad, and like I felt bad for him. That seemed like it was a really like genuine interview. But everyone else seemed like they were just trying to stir up stuff because I don't know if you know this about Leah Michelle. Leah Michelle has a reputation for being difficult. Like she's kind of like she came from Broadway. She was the only one in the cast that like at the time when the show started was like had done, other than like the like Jane Lynch or Matthew Morrison, like of the young kids, she was the only one that had done a lot. She was on
Okay.
Broadway. She's a total New York Broadway kid. And sometimes, I mean, I did drama all 4 years of high school, and I knew girls like her who like
Right.
thought they had the best voice, like
Goes to their head.
it
Yeah.
goes to their head. And apparently Leah Michelle was like that. But they tried to
Oh.
turn the documentary into like a let's bash her for like an hour and a half for like no
Oh, well, no one
reason
wants to see
kind of
that
thing.
either.
Like
Holy.
we all heard that she's difficult. We all know it. And to kind of spin it in a way where like maybe her being difficult kind of affected Corey Mont. Like they try to spin that angle, like maybe that affected
Oh my.
his mental state and like all it was just like a really like it
Poor
kind of made me
taste it
feel,
sounds.
yeah, it kind of made me feel dirty a little bit watching
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
I mean I got through all
wow.
3 hours of it because I was curious to watch it, but yeah,
Three
it was like
hours. Well,
hour.
good for
Yeah, they
you. That's a
yeah,
chore.
it's a chore. But yeah, there's no direct correlation between like like how, and they talked about how other crew members from the show unfortunately had passed away like during the show's run. It's just like they're I don't know if you believe in like curses and stuff like that. They were trying to make it seem like well maybe there's a Glee curse. Maybe this is why these things happen. But like in reality, like this stuff just does happen, and maybe it happens to
Yeah.
a group more than others. And in this case, it happened with them, and it's unfortunate. Um,
Very much
but
so.
at this point, it's been like what almost 10 years since Corey Monteith passed away, and like
Yeah, I think so. Like
and then
2010,
like
11,
Naya
something like
Rivera
that.
died. Naya Rivera died in like 2020, and like and that has nothing to do with like fame or anything like that. It was like an accidental drowning. And then Mark
Right.
Saley had his own problems. So it's like, that had nothing to do with the show. I mean, so it was a very like loose thread that they were trying to like go on, and
Hmm.
somehow they milked it for 3 hours. But like I said, I think there's a good documentary to be made about that show if you were actually
But
talking to like the real people that were really
yeah,
involved and in the thick of it, but not something
but
like
that
this.
wasn't it.
No,
No.
not at all.
Well, on a positive note, you just reminded me just throughout this conversation. One other thing I did get in that I wanted to just quickly do a plug about was Scott Cooper's The Pale Blue Eye. I got that in Netflix
I
release in this month. Phenomenal. Did you get a chance to see that yet?
No, I haven't watched it. I heard good things though. I actually heard that it was
Yeah.
really like uh more decent than they probably a lot of people thought it was going to be. I guess from what I've heard.
Well, yeah,
So
coming
yeah,
off Antlers, which a lot of people agreed was a
love.
little bit disappointing.
I mean,
I liked Antlers a
I
lot.
liked it a lot too.
Like
I got
Guillermo.
I got to interview Scott Cooper and Kerry Russell like after that movie came
Oh,
out,
no way.
and
That's awesome.
like it was so cool because they were like he was so happy that I was like, oh yeah, like, and you what you're trying to do with this theme here, and he's like, oh, you get it. I was like, yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, so
That's
yeah, I
so
love that
fascinating. You
movie.
got to interview him.
I love
Yeah.
that movie. That was really good.
So if you like Scott Cooper, then if you're familiar with his work, even though all his movies are so vastly different, like it's
Yeah.
still you get Scott Cooper's touch within this one, and it is great. And I've messed this up multiple times this week. Is it Harry or Henry Melling, the guy that plays Edgar Allan Poe?
Oh shit, I think it might be.
I think
Maybe. I can look it up.
I should have known this before I was speaking about it. But anyway,
No,
regardless, him and Christian Bale, powerhouse performances by them. They were great. Cinematography was beautiful. Scott's direction was awesome. Like that's probably one I would check out again before the year's up. Honestly, I really had a good time watching that one.
nice. Well, I
And
gotta
that's
add it
what I
to the
wanted to say.
list. I gotta
Yeah,
add it to the
definitely.
list. Yeah. Yeah, I should be watching shit like that instead of the price of Glee on the ID channel. Man,
Totally.
true crime TV, man. I can't avoid it sometimes. And like,
Well, it's
it's just
noble what you do. Like even if you don't have like the greatest sense that you're gonna enjoy something when you watch, the fact that you're able to sit yourself through and do it anyway is great. I'm the type where like if I'm put off by something, like I'll generally watch something I feel or know I'm going to enjoy spending my time on, but I'm sure that's going to change, maybe even in regards to this, just to have some more genuine conversation about some stuff. But
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
because you know,
I'm a little picky sometimes.
sometimes we gotta watch stuff we don't like if we like, even if
Yeah.
we have a feeling. I mean, then that probably feels weird for me to say is that you guys have all heard how I feel about seeing Avatar: The Way of Water. I should probably see it. But yeah, I mean, we
Agreed.
are
Me
kind of
too.
like in the position where we have to watch certain things that we may not enjoy, and like, and then who knows? You might think you won't enjoy it, and then like it turns out
Yeah.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So you never know.
Can't say I haven't
Sometimes.
been surprised before. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting right to it, we are in the thick of award season, and
Hmm.
a lot happened this week with awards. Like we said in the previous episode, the Golden Globes did not air on Sunday as they have done in the past. They did not want to compete with NFL, which is probably really smart. They aired them on Tuesday. Still almost had record low ratings, and I think that's just because award shows just don't do that well on network TV anymore. I don't think it has to do with like the movies anymore, because there's some pretty mainstream movies that are nominated, or people from them that were nominated this year, and it's still like people didn't tune in. I mean, it also was on a different night than it normally is on. Um, that could have a lot to do with it.
I
But yeah,
think next year we'll see some different numbers once they put it on. Is it the Globes that are going on Netflix?
so SAG is going to Netflix.
SAG. Okay.
Yeah, the SAG, and that's smart. I think that's like the best thing to do, because I feel like people who are
100%.
watching people who are watching these shows, or people that are in the industry, are curious about it. Are It's not a lot of regular people tuning in to watch. I mean, the Golden Globes is the fun one because that's the one where they get to like kind of walk around and drink, and they get kind of like loose lipped a little bit. It's not like the
Yeah.
Oscars where everything is so like prim and proper and like put together. Um, but yeah, we'll see. Because also like the Critics' Choice Awards were this week, and they had record low numbers for the CW, but they were on the CW, and that is not a big four network, so that could have a lot to do with it as well. But yeah, we have the Golden Globe Awards. They have those results, and then we got the SAG nominations right after that, and then the DGA nominations, the Directors Guild. Association. In case anyone doesn't know what SAG is, that's the Screen Actors Guild Association. And then the PGA, which is the Producers Guild Association, released their nominations. And then the Critics' Choice Awards had their winners as well. Um, the Golden Globes isn't a total precursor to like what the Oscars are going to do, because Hollywood Foreign Press is like a bit of a different voting body. When you get to like the SAG Awards and the DGA and the PGA Awards, they sometimes are in line with like where the nominations are going to go for the Oscars, and we can kind of talk about that when we get to those particular awards. Um, but the Golden Globe winners, we called some of these when we talked about the Golden Globe nominations.
Yes, we
Some
did.
of some of them we were wrong on, but like I think for the most part, they were pretty much in line with what we thought they were going to be. So, best motion picture drama, I will call this one saying that I was wrong. I thought Top Gun Maverick had a good shot at winning it, just because it was super popular and like people loved it. But they went with the cinematic nostalgia of Steven Spielberg and gave it to the Fablemans. Um, and honestly, I can lump this together too. The Fablemans had like a really good couple of days because they won Best Picture drama at the Golden Globes, and then Steven Spielberg secured a Directors Guild nomination as well. Um, I kind of think with this movie, it's like I think, especially if you're like into film and you're like and of course everyone that votes on these are either filmmakers or they work in the industry. There's probably something about this movie that kind of tugs at the heartstrings for them, where it's like, oh, it's about the love of movie making. Because there was someone on Twitter that it can't stand this movie at all. Like as soon as they saw it, they were like, oh, it's just so like manipulative and like not as strong as like his previous work. But I think for industry insiders and industry people that are like associated with like directing, producing, acting, and all that stuff, I think it kind of strikes a chord with them a bit. And there's a pretty decent shot that he could even I think Steven Spielberg is going to get an Oscar nomination for Best Director. I think the
Oh, without a
movie's
doubt. I'd hope
I think
so.
I think the movie is definitely going to get a Best Picture nomination as well. Um, I'm still up in the air about whether or not it'll win, but like it did win the Globe, um, and that was great. I thought it was nice to
Yeah,
see. I like the movie, but
Stephen winning
I
for
mean,
director, I was very happy
yeah,
about. So
yeah,
about the movie, yeah, it hasn't. I double checked. It hasn't come to my local theater, which is disappointing. I thought I'd have the chance to sneak it in, but I think it might just be a late release over here. That happens sometimes.
yeah,
What came to us like I had the whale come late last year.
late.
There was something that came like a couple months late after it. It was a December release. I can't remember off the top of my head, but as soon as that's in there, I need to see that. Ideally, I'd like to get it in before the Oscars. There's still some great, like many of the movies that are up in the front runners here. I'll need to see that haven't come. Like Babylon was in my theaters for like 2 weeks. I missed that slot. Didn't get
For
the
like
chance to
two
see that.
seconds, like 2 seconds.
Like literally, which is disappointing, man. I really want to see that. But like Top Gun was in theaters here for months.
Yeah.
But the
Well,
Fablemans is one that I was.
you know
Yeah.
what? If it doesn't come to you, I will drop box you a link so you can like watch it at home if you want to watch it
Oh,
at home.
that would be. Oh, I didn't. That would be
But
amazing. Yeah, as long as I can see it before, that would be great.
yeah,
Appreciate that.
yeah, yeah. I wasn't upset with the win. I thought it was a pretty solid win. I mean, except for the guy on Twitter who I won't say who it is because he's a pretty decent press person. But he's very
Okay.
vocal. He's very vocal about what he doesn't like, and like he was very like right away as soon as he saw his like first press screening for it. 'Cause I think he was excited to see it because it's Spielberg and
Okay.
it's loosely based on Spielberg's life. It's about like you know the encouragement he kind of gets like wanting to be a
Mm,
young filmmaker and like the relationship with his mother and like all this really like interesting stuff. And that probably you would think would make a great movie for a lot of people that are like curious as to how like Spielberg kind of grew up in this kind of like you know because everyone when they talk about Spielberg they talk about still that he has this like ability to kind of take you back to like almost being like a child when it comes to movies. Like it's like you're kind of discovering like magic again a bit. and
exactly.
and I think that's what a lot of people thought they were going to get from it. And then some people who felt they didn't get that, I think that's why they are kind of like, oh, it's just okay. And you know,
Oh,
but I mean, I personally, I really enjoyed it, and I'm pretty okay with it. I would have been happy at Top Gun 1 too, but
Yeah.
um,
I'm
yep,
expecting to be blown away. I can't wait for Fablemans. It's everything that I'd want. And I think Steven telling this story at this time of his life, I'm glad that he has the chance to do it. And just as a young person, an aspiring filmmaker, I guess you could say myself, it's something that I'm really looking forward to seeing, and something I could definitely see inspiring me to work in the industry one day.
yep.
So bring it on.
Uh, and then best musical or comedy, because like we told you, they split their drama musical categories into two. The Banshees of Inisherin won, and I finally did watch it. I didn't tell you that I watched it. I did
Oh,
watch it.
nice.
I really enjoyed it, and I actually can see why. I guess almost every major actor from this movie is getting some kind of like acknowledgement from it. I thought it was really good, and I thought the writing was really good. It's a really solid movie, and there was a big debate about this because I think I called it for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I thought that was going to win the Golden Globe in that category. I kind of am, if I'm just being like assuming it probably came down between those two movies. Um,
Yeah, I'd probably guess that as well.
but yeah, I was happy with that win as well, especially after I saw the movie. Um, I was rooting for Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I wasn't disappointed by that win
Right.
either.
It's a good way to put it. I can't say enough good things about Banshees of Inisherin. That movie was phenomenal. And I love Martin McDonough. Everyone attached in the cast. I think they deserve all the recognition that they're getting. Happy to
Yep,
see it. It was a great choice, I think. An easy choice too. Or maybe not
I think
easy,
so.
but I agreed with it. I'll put it that way.
And yeah, speaking of Mark McDonough, he also won screenplay for a motion picture as well at the Golden Globes. So it was actually a really big night for that
That
movie.
movie. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like it'll be interesting because of course the Oscars don't separate musical
Mm.
and comedy and drama. So like it'll be interesting to see like kind of what gets in and then what is kind of like the front runner. Oh, I just want to point out too, Babylon didn't win anything except for best score. So I mean, it is a really good score. It's a really good like jazzy like throwback movie score. But
Mhm.
Justin Hurwitz, sorry, won for best score, and
Which
it
is,
was his
he's
only
four
win.
for four,
He is 4 for
right?
4. Yeah, yeah, he's
Yeah, good for
really.
him. And
I guess like yeah, with working with Damien Chazelle, yeah, magic. I guess
absolutely. I
good
love
for
him as a
him.
composer. Yeah, composers are like some of my favorite parts of movie making, and so he
Yeah,
has a score from Damien's previous movie, First Man. One of the songs called "The Landing," or score is called "The Landing," which I still listen to on the regular. Like I have it on my phone on Spotify, and if it comes on, like I'll listen to it. It's just like
yeah,
an electric piece
nice.
of music. He's a
Yeah,
great composer. Good for
he's
him.
really good,
Deserving
and
win.
he reminds me a little bit. I feel like they have like this really kind of like they understand each other. I guess like as far as like what he is as a filmmaker and what he needs from him, from music. It kind of reminds me of like Spike Lee has worked with Terrence Blanchard a lot, and that's been like his like
Okay,
his composer, and like
right.
I feel like they just understand each other without really vocalizing like, okay, this is what I want. I think they kind of just get like, this is I already get what you're putting down,
Mm.
kind of thing,
They
and I
have some
feel like they,
intuition going on between each other.
yeah, it feels like they do.
Yeah,
Um, so best actor in a drama. We either said it was gonna be Brendan Fraser or Austin Butler, and
I
Austin
was
Butler won.
thinking Brendan Fraser. Yeah, I
I
was
thought I,
surprised with that. I
I thought Brendan Fraser was gonna win too. He did win
I
at the
can't say
Critics'
I'm
Choice Awards
disappointed
though.
though.
Yeah, I'm not
Yes,
either.
that's right. His speech was great.
His speech was really good. I'm not disappointed that Austin Butler won because however you feel about the movie, he's very very good in it. Um, you know,
Yeah.
it's a Baz Luhrmann thing. Like some people don't like all the flash and like everything doesn't have to be
Hmm.
like you know it's just a Baz Luhrmann thing.
Right.
You know it if you know his movies already. Um,
Right.
yeah, it was cool to see him win. I actually liked his speech. I know some people have like made fun of him because they were like, why is he still sound like Elvis? Like, or is he still
Right.
channeling
Okay. I thought that
Elvis?
too. I haven't heard him talk before, so I was like, is he still stuck? Because I know he had difficulty getting out of the role. I
Yeah.
just couldn't tell if that's how he talked or if he was still kind of drawing on the Elvis's voice. So that was a weird
Well,
moment for me.
I was dying. I was watching TMZ and they were doing a clip from like the Golden Globes, and they were like, "Oh, like the voiceover guy was like, well, maybe that's just how he talks." And then they cut to a clip from when he was like on some Nickelodeon show back in the day, and like his voice was, of course, he was younger then, but they're like his voice does not sound like that. I mean, he could. it's possible that he could still just be living it. I mean, I can see that being like a transformative kind of thing. It might be a little
Right.
ridiculous, but like, whatever. It's fine. Like, he did say he had a hard time shaking it when he was done shooting.
Yeah.
It was kind of with him. So
I can't comment on his performance because I still haven't seen Elvis, but just watching because there's only a few of the Globes I was awake for as they were. I caught a good amount of the show, but I didn't see everything. But I did see Austin Butler's win in his speech, and I just couldn't help but feel like overwhelmingly excited for what this will mean for his career and where he'll go forward from this. I don't know. I know even just as far as 2 or 3 years ago when he had a minor role in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he was to me at least a relative unknown. So I don't know what sort
yeah,
of career recognition he's had yet. So I'm expecting this will be a big surge for him going forward.
yeah, I
So
think
good
so
for
too.
him.
So at the time when he was in that, I only really knew him more his personal life. It's only because like people I know told me about it. Like he was dating Vanessa
Oh, okay.
Hudgens at the time, and
Oh, wow.
so I was like, oh, okay. So I only knew him because of like what famous person he was seeing. But I thought he was really good in
Okay.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I know it's a smaller part, but I thought he was really good in that. And
Absolutely.
but this is like a game changer for him. I mean, I
Mm,
honestly think I agree with a lot of people who are saying I think the three-way race, if they all get nominated for Oscars and who might win, it'll come down to him, Brendan Fraser, and then Colin Farrell. I think that is like
hmm
the trifecta of like who's likely to win in that category if they all get nominations. I'm sure they will, but yeah, I think it's coming down to that.
Yeah. Do you remember in the episode we were talking about the nominations for the Globes, and I said that I didn't expect Colin Farrell, like I didn't think that he had put in a
Yeah, yeah,
performance that was, man, I'm eating my words now, aren't I? Because he won,
yeah.
and I do think it's deserving, and I think I gotta go give his performance some more love upon rewatch because I was
I
clearly wrong.
He also had a really good speech too. I thought it was like very heartfelt about like
That's
how
right.
Martin McDonough like basically changed his career by like putting him in like those initial movies of his, like because Colin Farrell back in the day he was a good actor, but he had a rep for being like a party boy. He was known a lot for
Okay.
that when he first came out, when he was like doing like Minority Report and like Daredevil and like those kind of movies, Phone Booth. He was like, everyone acknowledged that he was a very talented actor, but he was also known for being like out on the like nightlife scene, and like he
Okay.
took Britney Spears to like the premiere of The Recruit. It was like a movie that he did with Al Pacino, and like this was like during like her party phase too. So he had like a rep,
Okay.
and then like his reputation like slowly changed when he started to like focus less on doing. He stopped doing more mainstream movies and started doing more character driven stuff, and then
Mm,
he had a kid. I think that helped a lot, and now he just
okay.
seems like now he seems just way more present in everything that he does. So I think that
Being a parent will do that, I'm sure.
yeah, yeah, and I
Ground you
like
a
that.
bit.
I much prefer this stage of his career over like his start. Even though he had some good movies when he started, I think like he's really
Right.
put in like really focused work, and has done like so many different types of things too in like the last few years. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's a
Me
solid
personally,
actor.
I don't know what I would have seen of Colin pre In Bruges, which was 2008, like his first one with Martin. I don't know what I would have seen because I haven't seen Ben Affleck's Daredevil. I honestly kind of forgot Colin was in that. I haven't seen, he's in Miami Vice, right?
Yeah, he's in
With
Miami
who's he
Vice.
alongside? Who's he
Jamie
starring alongside
Foxx.
with that?
Jamie
Yes, that's
Foxx.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
haven't seen it though, but I love his
yeah. I mean,
career where he's at now. One of my
yeah.
favorites.
Phone Booth is a good like early uh Colin Farrell movie. Tigerland is like his movie that broke him out is really good as well.
Okay,
Um, he's not like the best part about Minority Report. My Minority Report is a really good Steven
didn't even
Spielberg
know he was in
sci-fi
it.
movie. Yeah,
Right.
it's
Yep.
a really
It's a
really
Tom
good
Cruise
movie.
show.
Tom Cruise show for sure. But yeah, he's like, but I think if you were to watch his stuff from like when he was starting to get famous and looking at maybe probably where you're saying like 2008 on, I think you would
Yeah,
prefer 2008 on
definitely.
compared to
And that's
like
how I
when
know Colin.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I
Well,
think
he
he
had a
kind of
big
felt
year.
he did a big year, and I also think in the beginning he fell into that trap of like, do you do more mainstream movies because like you're now the it guy, and like they're casting you in like these kind of like bigger like blockbusters, or do you focus on like doing smaller stuff? And I think at a certain
Hmm
point, I think like for him when you get older, there's room to do both, and I think that's where he's kind of figured out like I can like do the mainstream. He can do the Batman if he wants to, and then that can lead to even bigger
That's
things
right.
for him, like in that universe. Like now he's getting his own
His own
show.
show. Right.
Um, so like there's room for both, and I think that once actors kind of find that balance, it works out really well. And I think it's worked out really well
Hmm.
for him. So yeah, good for him. And
Certainly.
then like Kate Blanchett, she was the front runner in the drama category for Best Actress. She won for Tar. Um, on the flip side of that, for comedy or musical, Michelle Yeoh won for Everything Everywhere All at Once. She had a really good speech as well.
Yeah.
So some people gave her some shade because they started playing the music to talk her off, and then
Oh, is that right? Eh?
she basically was like, no, like yeah, kind of like stop, because she's like, this is her moment, right? She's 60 years old, like she's kind of having like this resurgence, even though it's weird that like it's a resurgence because she's been in like so many things. But she's getting noticed again, and she was kind
Notice.
of like,
Yeah.
yeah, and then she was kind
The
of like
North
after
American audience
are
is
picking
kind of
up on her
noticing her
again,
now. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And when they were playing her off, she basically like stopped, and then she kind of turned around because like she's Michelle Yeoh and she's a badass and she's been in movies where she kicks ass. She was like, "I'll beat you up," like it was a joke, and it wasn't meant to be. But some people were like, "Oh, that's kind of rude that she did that." I was like, "It was a joke."
Oh,
She
come
like,
on.
and like let her have her
Ah,
moment.
give her a break. Yeah,
You know,
totally. I didn't get to
I
catch her speech, but
well,
that's hilarious.
what I liked about her speech is like she basically said like by the time she was about to turn 60, she was like, "Okay, I could either say like." What you've done so far is pretty good. Like you've gotten to work with Spielberg, you've worked with James Cameron, you worked with Danny Boyle, you worked with all these really good people, and maybe if that's it, then that's fine. And then she kind of like she said like the Daniels cast her in this, and it's like gave her like a new sense of like purpose of it, and to kind of show that it's not done at a certain point. You can still keep going, and like I thought that was a really good thing about her speech, and like it's cool to like it's
100%.
cool it's just cool to see people like that having a moment like that, and she's fantastic in the movie too. Like you know I think when it comes down to the Oscars, it's gonna come down to her and Kate Blanchett. I think Kate Blanchett has more like of more oomph behind her,
I
because
think you're right.
Kate Blanchett won the Critics' Choice Award for Best Actress over her.
Yeah.
And I know that's a different voting body too, but like it's I think everyone's been praising Kate Blanchett's performance in this like since they saw it. And I think she's gonna have the slight edge. But I will take a surprise
I agree with you. Yeah.
if they but yeah, I think she
We're
has the edge. But like still gonna get a nomination though. Like she that's a lock for sure. Um,
I'm
but yeah,
still reeling from the fact that you said she's 60 because, like, although it makes complete sense, she could pass for mid 40s easy, maybe even early 40s. Like, she is a beautiful woman, and not
yeah,
that age would impact that at all. I just can't believe that she's 60 years old. It's crazy to me. Hadn't
yeah,
considered that.
yeah, and I didn't think about it either. And like it's so interesting too because I've seen like I guess for people like me, she hasn't really like gone away. And like I've always seen her and stuff.
Right.
But for a lot of people, they are discovering her for the first time. I guess I mean, I guess like she had a pretty big year. The year that Crazy Rich Asians came out, she was Henry Golding's mom in that, and that was a huge hit when it came out. Um, but I guess she's always kind of been like my friend described her as someone that, like I know you from somewhere, but like what do I
Mm,
know you from? Like she's that kind of
right.
actress.
I
But
see.
I think now everyone is gonna know her name, and
Good.
that's a good thing, and she deserves
Absolutely.
it.
Good for her. She does deserve it. Wonderful
A
actress.
best supporting actress in a motion picture went to Angela Bassett for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. You know what? We talked about this too. Very smart on their end to campaign for her. She was, I think, campaigning for her in that category was a very last minute thing because like
Okay.
Black Panther is not getting the same like awards attention that their first movie got, and that's fair because the first movie was such like a pop cultural phenomenon. It was like a bigger thing
Yeah,
than the
you're
sequel
right.
was. But the one thing that they can do is push her because, like, I mean, there's been a big debate about whether or not like you can have like one moment in the movie that is like that's your Oscar winning moment, and
Right.
but if you only have one and the rest of it's just like good and okay, like does that make for a Oscar winning performance? I will tell you this: I think Angela Bassett is a great actress, like one of the greatest that we have working right now. Her moment in Black Panther that has probably gotten her all these nominations is worthy of awards attention on its own. Like that,
Is that right, eh?
it's a great scene. It's a really you feel like her pain and emotion, like it resonated through a very packed theater when we saw it on opening night. Um, but I felt that they weren't going to try to like push anyone from like a Marvel movie for Oscars. But then someone was like, if it's someone like her, like I think it can work
Mhm.
because she actually has like the prestige behind her, uh,
Right.
where they'll accept it. And you know what? She won the Golden Globe. She won the Critics' Choice Award for in the same category. Um, the competition in our category is not like incredibly fierce. There's that argument too. Um,
Right.
but
No, yeah.
honestly, oh, and then also, if you're a Marvel head, she's the first actress or actor from a Marvel movie to win like a major
That's right.
award like this. And
That's a big milestone for the franchise.
so that's history in and of itself.
Yeah, it seems deserving that she would win it too. So good for her.
Yeah, and there's also like everyone respects her in the industry, so I don't think anyone will look at that win if she does eventually win an Oscar for it. Like, oh, you won for that Marvel movie. I think that she's so good that it's like, no, you're winning this on sheer talent. It happens to be in a Marvel movie, but you're getting this because you give like a powerhouse performance in it, and
Right.
that's why you're getting it. So I think there will still be respect on that win if she does end up going all the way and uh winning the Oscar for it. Um, and she also gave a really really good speech. If everyone gave really good like humble speeches at the Golden Globes.
Well,
And
it's funny you mention that because now my mind goes to Jennifer Coolidge's because she gave quite the speech. I think she was a little overwhelmed when she won,
she
and I
was
saw she picked
overwhelmed,
up.
but
Yeah.
she was my favorite thing of the night though. Like
Oh, it was funny.
I love when she was presenting her award because she like presenting her like different category because she was really funny then
Yeah.
too. And then her win, even though her speech was like all over the place, I knew exactly what she was trying to say though. Like and
You
like
could really, yeah.
and the gist of it was like people like giving up on her. She hadn't really been getting a lot of work, and like there were people in the industry that like really stood by her. She could only remember Ryan Murphy in the moment, but there were other people that
That's
like
right.
that
Can't blame
stood
her for
by her.
that.
And then
I don't
Mike
know that she
White.
was expecting to win.
I know, and then like Mike White gives her this opportunity in the White Lotus, in a limited series that they were gonna like swap out the entire cast on for season two, but like her character was she was such a fan favorite that they brought her back, and
Okay.
I mean like it brought her back for season two, and I feel like the theme of this award season, whether it's TV or movies, has been like all these people who are like being rediscovered again, and she's been one of them. And it's really cool to
Yeah.
see because she's super talented and like uh funny and quirky and like fun to watch. I think she's
Yeah.
really fun to watch.
We can throw Brendan Fraser in that category as well as someone who's been out of the limelight in the industry for a couple
Yep.
decades, give or take now, and who's getting some recognition again. You're right.
Yeah.
That is definitely seems to be a theme of this award season, which is, I mean, who
Yeah.
can't be behind that?
And then best supporting actor in the motion picture. I always feel like I'm gonna get his name wrong. Is it K Huey Kwan? I don't want to mess it up. He's in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
He's a front runner in this category. If he loses the Oscar, I then somebody doesn't like him personally. I don't know.
Right.
Uh,
I think he's got the industry support behind him because like there's
yeah,
no one that you can just tell all the recognition and the hype and the praise that he's been getting, and is
yeah.
he not swept his
He
awards
swept.
run?
I think he has swept every major one so far.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I think he's got a
so like
good trajectory
yeah,
to win that
he won.
Oscar.
He won the Golden Globe. He won the Critics' Choice Award. He got nominated for a SAG award in the same category. I will throw that out there to also Angela Bassett, who also got a SAG nomination for Black Panther in that category. Um, yeah, I think it's his lose, man. I mean, he's gonna, and like another, yeah. Again, he's part of that theme too. That theme of like they're getting
Yep, there's another
rediscovered.
one.
Getting rediscovered again. And his speech was like his Golden Globe speech, where he was like, He was happy he
Oh
got to
yeah.
win this and like fronted Steven Spielberg, who gave him his first
That was my
opportunity.
favorite moment
Like,
of the night
which
was
is
that they
so
were
cool.
on they both won.
Yeah, and it was so cool that he, got to have that experience. And I'm forgetting his name, but I also love the full circle moment of the guy who played Chunk in the Goonies that he's also in. It's also his lawyer that worked out his deal for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So it's like a really
Okay.
interesting like thing how like this all kind of came together for him. Um, it's cool to see
Totally.
though. and he's extremely happy to be there, and I just like I love that too. Like it's like a genuine
It just
excitement.
radiates off him.
Yeah,
Exactly. He's
I'm
very
I'm
humble and grateful.
I'm watching like all these like I'm on Instagram. There's all these different pictures and videos of him like just taking pictures with like every celebrity from at all these events, or like who either they know who he is or they don't. And, like he's just having like the time of his
Right.
life, which is like
Because he hasn't
really.
acted since he was like a late teen, early 20s, right?
It's been a while, and like it's interesting because he was in a movie with Brendan Fraser a long time ago. Uh,
Oh,
so they have that connection too. He hadn't been in anything in a while. It'd been a very anything of significance in a very long time,
right.
and
Okay.
and much like they did with Michelle Yeoh, the Daniels took a shot on him and put him in this, and yeah, they changed like two lives, I think, with by casting it this way. And you know what too? I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis has been in the industry forever, but she's been like she campaigned late too for this movie. She wasn't really like she's funny in it, right? But it's like I didn't expect her to get nominated for Best Supporting Actress, but she so far has been nominated for almost every major award leading at the
Right.
Oscars for our performance here.
That's
So
right.
like uh they really kind of hit the nail on the head with like how they chose their talent on this. So good for
Yeah.
them.
They
Um,
have, yes.
yeah. You know, was that all the movie stuff? I just wanted to make sure if I missed. Oh, so that song. I'm not gonna touch on it a long time because I was wrong. I picked the Black Panther song to win Best Original Song, the Rihanna
Oh,
song.
right.
But the
Yep.
song from RRR won the Golden Globe.
Not to,
Because
not to.
not to, and it won the Critics' Choice
Yeah.
Award for Best Original Song. So I might have
Good
to,
for
when it
it.
comes to, if it gets nominated for an Oscar, I might have to change my prediction to that winning Best Original Song at the Oscars.
I'm
It, se-
sure it will. I'm sure it
it
will get
seems to have,
nominated.
and then the Critics' Choice Award. Um, Everyone thought that All Quiet on the Western Front was going to win Best Foreign Language Film, but then RRR won.
That's
So
right.
it's a really tricky tricky award season with the movies
I'm a
and
little
such.
biased because I saw All Quiet on the Western Front. I haven't seen RRR, so like in
Yeah,
my heart, I was like hoping. I just loved All Quiet, like it was an amazing experience. But I really do got to get RRR, and especially probably before the Oscars because I need to just to know what I'm getting into before by the time nominations get here. So I'm really
yeah,
excited to see it. Actually, is it a
yeah.
Netflix movie?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Yeah. And just to show that we just don't care about movies, I will quickly throw the TV stuff your way. House of the Dragon won Best Drama TV series.
Yes, very
Um,
happy with that.
I think you were very. I think that was the only one I posted on my Instagram story that you like responded to. I'm like, yeah, so he must be happy.
I think so.
Must be
I
happy
was
about it.
so pumped. I am a huge Thrones fan, and House of the
Yep.
Dragon delivered on all fronts for me. So yes, love to see that it won that.
Yep. Um, I was actually excited for Best Musical or Comedy TV Series, Abbott Elementary. It's one of the best comedies on TV right now, and it's on network TV, which is kind of rare to have like nowadays to have a comedy
Oh,
series that on network TV that is really funny. But think of it as like The Office, but like with teachers, and like that's what you got. It's like a really
oh,
fun,
okay.
like kind of like
I can
almost
get behind that.
like mockumentary almost style a little bit. It's really the writing is like super solid. Yeah, it's one of the funniest shows on TV. Um,
Okay,
Quinta Bronson, I think, won Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy for Abbott Elementary. She plays the lead. She also created the show. On top of that,
okay. Jeez, busy
um,
lady.
yeah, she is. And then on the Best Actress in the Drama TV Series category, Zendaya won for Euphoria. I watched Euphoria. Thought that was much deserved. If it's for
Yeah, I
her
thought you would be
intervention,
happy with that one.
yeah, if it's for her intervention episode, then I was like, just give her all the awards now and yeah, tell everyone else to go home. She also won the Critics' Choice Award in that same category um, as well. Um, and then on the series side of things, Evan Peters won for Dahmer. Um,
Mm, yes,
eh,
about that.
yes, yeah. So you wanted to say
we
something, but yeah, yeah,
well, yeah. Like I didn't see too much. I saw a couple posts kind of like, and I don't know how much traction this really got in the mainstream, but it's why wanted to bookmark this to talk to you about. Have you seen any more? I know that he got a little bit of hate for not recognizing like the victims in his speech. I remember thinking his speech was really well done and really in good taste. And then
yeah.
to see some hate, I just was like, where is this coming from?
I
What do you
definitely
thought? What do you think?
I definitely saw that it did gain a little bit of traction. Um, it was a good healthy mix though, because like I think some people felt the way you did. His speech was like short and to the point, but I thought he said a lot without saying too much,
Yeah,
without being on too long. Like he, I think he's aware of like what the show is and how people feel about it, especially like the victims of the show. So I'm sure the victims of like the real life victims of Jeffrey Dahmer who have had to like deal with kind of like this kind of being brought up again because it got over 1 billion stream or views on Netflix. It's like a super popular show. Um, I feel differently about this, but I would feel differently if I was a family member of a victim, right? My
of
thing
course.
is
Yeah, that's a good
my
point.
my thing is actors have played real life bad people for a very long time. He's not the first person to play someone who is vile and
It's another
you know
great point.
discussing. We're awarding him for his performance not because he's not really Jeffrey Dahmer. So like I mean he put in the work. He did really good work. Um and he won for it. And that's what they were voting on. Like they're voting on
Yeah,
those merits
exactly.
and not like
And
like yeah, what were you gonna
um,
say?
sorry, yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. Getting down to it, like I don't feel like he has necessarily the responsibility to apologize or to take the credit and give, I don't know the right words to put together for that. But
Yeah.
I think he did justice by like his short, sweet little speech. He did comment on how difficult the material was to make and to be a part of. Not to mention, like he's in the headspace of Jeffrey Dahmer for however long they were filming that, and probably long after. This is probably a hard thing to get out of for him as well. And I think that he did it justice by. I don't remember his speech verbatim, but I do remember thinking like, yeah, that's a good way
I
to
think
accept
I
the
think
award.
one of the things he said was he hopes like people's lives were changed by watching it. And by saying that, I think it's like you take from it there are going to be some people that watch it because they love kind of stuff based on true crime and it's exciting,
Yep.
and there are going to be other people that watch it that are going to like look at all like the real like nuances of the story and like look at how like shitty it was that like cops kind of ignored like what was going on with some of these victims because they assumed that like
Right.
they didn't want to get involved in like like the whole gay thing and stuff like that. That's a big part of the story
Right.
that you can learn from. And like I think that is what a lot of people who actually look at it like objectively have taken from it.
Mm-hmm.
How awful that time was, and maybe how much earlier he could have been caught if there wasn't so much like you know bias against like homosexuality and stuff like that at the time.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's what you take from it. Like most smart people will take that from it, and I think that's what he was trying to say instead of like I didn't get a thrill from watching it, but I thought it was well done and it was
Yeah.
well made.
I agree 100%. I
Yeah,
did
and
I did enjoy it, but I wasn't blown away per se.
yeah,
But I think he's deserving of the win absolutely as well.
yeah, and I thought he was very good. And like Niecy Nash won Best Supporting Actress at the Critics' Choice Awards from that show.
Right.
She did actually. She thanked the woman that she's based on, and basically
Right.
said, she's basically said through my performance, I hope that you're finally seen, and like, so that's nice. It's nice to do it, but like, it's also not your
Right.
responsibility. Like, you're an actor. Like, it's a part, it's a role. It's not like,
That's your yes.
and you're
To
also
get
right too that he lived in that headspace for a long time. It wasn't the easy part for him to play. Niecy Nash said that she did not meet Evan Peters until they rapped. That's how like immersed in this he was.
wow.
So like
That's exactly what I'm saying.
so now he's coming out of it in this kind of like TV award season and getting acknowledgement for it and like I don't think like now that acknowledgement is public, right? So I'm sure he's seen everything that everyone else is seeing, which is like them saying like, oh, they never consulted any of like the victims' families about this. Like, like I'm sure he sees it, and I'm sure he has empathy
Yep.
for it. And like I think
Of
Ryan
course.
Murphy has empathy for it. But I will say this, Ryan Murphy, however you feel about him, uh, whether you think that his shows start off so strong and then they fall apart, which is how I usually feel. The one thing that he does really, really well is like the true crime TV. He's really good at it. Uh, I mean, like his American Crime Story, like Versace and like the O.J. Simpson one, is like it's so good, and like he knows how to like tap into like these real life kind of pop cultural events, and then turn them into compelling television. And I won't take that away from him. I know I would feel differently if I was personally involved, you know,
Yeah,
as a
100%. That's a good
as
point.
a family member. But yeah, I thought it was silly for him to get dragged uh,
That's
for
more or
that.
less what I'm getting at. And I think you hit the nail on the head with what you had to say about that. So
Yeah,
now I
yeah.
feel content having brought that up.
No, no,
Good
no.
for him.
I'm
Good for Evan Peters.
and I'm glad you did because like I figured that was going to be the point because I saw it like immediately on Twitter like almost as soon as he like left the stage. I was like people were already
Instantly.
like
Yeah.
on their on their phones or on their outlets
You're
just
you're
like
so right.
right away. So like
It just
uh
made me think that people look for things to drag actors on. It's just, I don't know. It just kind of set something off in me where I just didn't think it was deserved. So
uh,
good for him.
um so just kind of piggyback, we can all lump these together. So with award season comes like of course all the guilds get to nominate their stuff. Um I want to say for the DGA is the Directors Guild Association. Um, I'm gonna tell you like they are sometimes a strong indicator for the best director Oscar race. It has only missed the mark 8 times in 74 years. So uh
Wow.
so last year the guild awarded Jane Campion for the top prize for The Power of the Dog, and then she ended up winning. Of course, she won the Oscar for Power of the Dog uh later that year.
Yep.
So that's a pretty good track record for seeing like who will get nominated, and you know, and if whoever wins might likely win the Oscar on Oscar night. So this is a I thought the picks were pretty good. I'll get the
It's a tight
complaints
race.
I'll get the complaints out of the way, and
Yep.
I will say I fully agree with this. There were no females nominated for the top prize. There were like some nominated for like the I guess like first director prize. They have that kind of category as well. But there were a lot of
Right.
complaints that there were no female directors acknowledged, and we had a lot of really good movies directed by females. The Women King, Women Talking, that have been a huge part of like the award season. Till, another one that's been a big part of award season. They weren't acknowledged. That it was a big kind of controversy that, you know, again, it's all dudes. Not to say that these guys aren't deserving, but like, you know,
No, exactly.
it's
Well,
it's
here, just my 2 cents on that. I think they need to expand the category to include a few more people because obviously it's been years and years now that women haven't been recognized as much as people think they really could.
yeah.
And I think to accommodate that, I mean, even if you not replace, but even if you include a couple of female directors in this, like I feel that you are still taking out some very deserving nominations. Like, is there harm in adding a couple more like slots? Do you
Yeah,
think?
you
Do
know,
you think that'll ever happen?
I don't know if it will. I mean, I guess the the good argument to that is they do it with, you know, the best picture race for the Oscars. They can nominate up to 10, and you know
Right.
you'll see that with the PGA nominations. They can nominate up to like, you know, that much as well. So like, you know, some people will say like, oh well, then that gives everyone a chance if you give everyone like a 10 spot, you know, in each category. Um,
I guess.
but I see your point. And then you also like when you do leave out who might be a deserving female director, then it's like, well, who do I take out of this list that is less deserving of being there?
Right.
But yeah, we'll tell
Hard.
you who got we'll tell you who got nominated. It was Todd Field who directed Tar, or Joseph Kaczynski who directed Top Gun Maverick. Uh, the Daniels directed Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, and Steven Spielberg for The Fablemans. It's not a bad category at all.
Not at all. So
I
question here.
guess if you like, I guess the questionable one is Joseph Kaczynski, but he directed the shit out of Top Gun Maverick, so I don't know what else to say to
I,
that.
exactly. It is a phenomenal movie. I feel like maybe one of the more unconventional picks, but I think he's got an added bonus of that movie really could have been. It stood out amongst a lot of other poor legacy sequels, and the fact that it is as good as it is, I think
Yeah.
people chose this, give him some recognition for it. So good for him. So I got
Yep.
a question here because I'm not as familiar with the Guild Awards. Like I've never even watched them before. Hadn't really paid attention much to them in my previous years. Like I will be going forward. But so what's the voting body on these?
So there's the Directors Guild Association. It was similar to SAG, where it's like when you're a member of like the Screen Actors Guild, you pay like basically into it to be a part of it, and
Okay.
so it's a body of like other. In this case, it'll be of other directors. And
Okay.
in the case of the SAG nominations, it's other actors, and in the case of the Producers Guild, it's other producers. So like
Okay.
so in that way, it's kind of fair. So it's not like an actor voting for a director, because it's like people in the field who are like voting,
Okay.
and
Well, that makes sense.
that's why it can be such a close precursor to the Oscars, because the Oscars are very similar in that regard too, where it's like in that category you're gonna get people from like that profession like voting for that category. So like
S-
that's why it makes I guess a little bit more sense. It would make more sense, I guess, to have like the people who work in that field be the ones that like pick you as who they think is the best. Um,
Right.
but yeah, yeah, but that's how they
So
come up
would it
with
be
like
wrong? Would it be wrong to say that many, if not all, of the people in these different guilds are also Academy members that vote
yeah,
come Oscar time?
a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
them are, yeah, a lot of them are,
Okay.
and then like sometimes there's a correlation between like the directing prize and like best picture. Sometimes you don't always miss it. Usually, if you get nominated for director, you usually get a best picture nomination because like you're the guy that like steered that ship. So like, why wouldn't you get both? But it's happened before. Like Ben Affleck missed a directing slot for Argo, but Argo won best picture. So like it can happen where like
Right.
it doesn't but it's very rare. Um,
Okay.
I don't know about. I mean, I'm only rooting. I would love to see the Daniels win just because I think it'd be a cool story if they won for everything everywhere all at once. But
I think so too.
I feel like the love is behind Steven Spielberg uh on this one. But that's just my 2 cents on that.
No, I agree. Like, I really want to see, and I'm very, very happy like that he won the Golden Globe because I feel like I want Fableman's to make up for what it lost in box office revenue for in awards recognition. I'm very happy to see that it is getting all this praise. So like I
Right.
can't help but feel like I want Steve to win as well. So, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
be unhappy with either of these choices. I haven't seen Tyra yet. It's the only one here I haven't seen, but I'm sure it's a wonderfully directed film. I have no doubt Todd Field's nomination is deserved, but I can't really comment much on it. But all of them are very deserving, I think. But yeah, Steve's got
Yeah.
that little
Yeah.
edge for me.
The only one I think you can count out for sure is Joseph Kaczynski. I think just the nomination is probably the win for him.
The bet, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great point. I think you're right.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I would be happily shocked if he won, but like it'd be like, I think that's like we're gonna give you the acknowledgement of like really directing a solid like big budget movie that kind of exceeded big budget expectations. That actually had a bit more heart and like a little bit more integrity than
That's
like a
right.
movie like that would normally have. So the
That
nominations are
is a
good.
win in and of itself. Yeah.
So now the PGA awards had two surprises in it. Um, and what I'll say again to give you an indication, the PGA has a strong track record in predicting the Oscars as both have a set 10 nominees for Best Picture. Last year, PGA matched 8 of the 10 with the Oscars, and both groups agreed on the Best Picture winner, which was Coda last year. The year before, they also matched with Nomadland, and for 2018 with Green Book. For 2019, they did not match. The PGA chose 1917, while the Academy went with Parasite. So
Oh man, that's a hard pick.
so in this category, I'm just gonna name them, and then you just your best guess.
Okay.
Name one or two that you feel like I don't know why it's there.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
let's hear them.
All right. So we got Tar up for a PGA award, Avatar: The Way of Water, Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery, The Fablemans,
Easy.
the Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Top Gun: Maverick, The Whale, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
And this is for best picture or
Yeah,
best.
this for best
Is that what
producer.
the
Like, yeah,
award
yeah,
is? Yeah.
yeah, basically, yeah,
Easy. Knives Out. I little overhyped for me. I don't get the love. I like the first one much more. I
yeah.
saw the second one. I wasn't. It's a good enough movie. Don't get me wrong. I just think that of the movies that are on that list, that is the easy choice for me. I haven't seen Black Panther either. Like I feel like I would just as easily be saying that if I had seen it by now, but I can't give it to that if I haven't seen it. So I would say Knives Out or
So that's
Glass Onion.
so that's fair. So I've seen both, and
Okay.
I was surprised that not that Wakanda Forever is a bad movie. It's pretty good. It's not as like there were things that I liked about it more than the first one, but I think overall it just does. I'm surprised that like the campaigning that it is doing is working, where it actually snuck in to the PGA
Mm,
nominations. Um, yo, cool win for the producers, Ryan Coogler, everyone at Marvel. It's a you know DC's not getting that, so good job.
that's a good
Good
point.
job on their part. I was surprised when I saw that one. I was surprised a bit by Glass Onion. I think I liked it more than you did. But I think Glass Onion works more about for the acting ensemble, which is so weird because it missed the acting ensemble award for SAG, which is like I feel like Glass Onion
But
is
won
like
it
for Critics' Choice Award, and
for
like
critics, right? Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I was like so weird that he even get a nomination because like the ensemble is like really good. If you're going to say anything about the movie, um, there are some people that are questioning the whale being there too because I think for some people it got mixed reviews as a film. Brendan Fraser is getting universal
Sure,
praise, but the movie itself is getting mixed reviews. Um,
fair.
I
I
can't see them going with all these for the Oscars.
no, no, no.
I think like if you're uh, there are some people that think that the whale now has this like last minute push and it might actually get a best picture nomination at this point. I think Wakanda Forever is out and
Yeah,
I
agreed.
think Glass Onion is out. You got your two blockbusters represented by Top Gun Maverick and Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yep.
You even have like a mid-tier box office hit in Elvis being represented. You even have like a smaller movie that ended up making a decent amount of money with Everything Everywhere All at Once. They have like a lot of different, and then you got your small indies like with Tar and Banshees, and you throw in The Whale.
Banshees. Yep.
You got almost every kind of like type of movie represented
Yeah, it's getting all the
here.
demographics there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually yeah, I can only see those two being left out of the final like Oscar race. Um,
Right, and we'll know in a week, right?
yeah, we will actually
Tuesday the
know
twenty fourth.
a week from
We will have
today.
noms.
You
That's
will
right.
have noms. And then if I wake up and see, I mean, I won't be mad if if those two movies sneak in there. Like, all right, nothing
Right.
else. So, like, of course, and then that left another argument, right? Because you threw in Black Panther and you threw in Glass Onion. There's a lot of support, like I said, for the Woman King. It actually was doing pretty well award season up until like now. And
Right.
Women Talking has been another one that directed by Sarah Polley that have got a lot of great attention, but it's a smaller movie and it's not getting the props it kind of deserves. Sarah Polley did win a screenplay award at the Critics' Choice Awards though, so that's cool
Right.
representation for them. Um, there's an argument to be made that maybe like She Said is another one, smaller movie, but was well received. It had an early awards push,
Right.
and it kind of died. I think it kind of dies when these movies don't like do that well at the box office, or no one sees them. I almost feel bad saying if they don't do
With
that well because the Fablemans didn't do well,
right
but it's Spielberg,
and
so like
and Babylon, like those are two movies like underperformers that are getting a lot of love. But like I can't imagine, again, not having seen either of them. I know I'm just talking out of my ass here, but I find it hard to believe that Fablemans and Babylon aren't, I would say, in a little bit of a league above like Woman King and Women Talking and She Said, perhaps. And I could be wrong about that, but I'm not surprised to see those movies doing well over those other ones. If there
yeah,
was, there's just simply not enough room for all well-made movies to have a nomination in every category. So some got to be left behind, and it's
yeah,
not going to. You're not going to make everyone happy. You're going to ruffle some feathers, but that's just the nature of the game.
yep. And I think
It's hard.
officially since it missed the PGA slot, I think Babylon might be out of the Best Picture race at this point. I mean, if it sneaks in
Interesting.
there,
Yeah.
it might sneak in there. It did get an ensemble nomination at SAG. I mean, that's fair because the ensemble is very good. But I think missing the PGA nominations is a pretty decent indicator that it's not going to get the Oscar love that Damien Chazelle has been used to. Um,
Used
yeah,
to and deserving of. And I got to say, who would have thought in 2017, was it 2017 or 2018 for La
like
La Land, which came out in
Whiplash.
2017?
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
the youngest director to win an Oscar at that point. Who would have thought that his next movie, First Man, which is amazing, and I watched it in anticipation of Babylon, which I haven't seen yet, I think is criminally underrated and underlooked, or overlooked
yeah,
rather. I don't think it got us. It might have got a nomination for score, but I don't think it really, and visual effects, but nothing like in any of
yeah,
the major categories. And I think First Man is amazing, and then Babylon, not it got some love in the early awards, but if it doesn't get to the Oscar love, then I definitely think that'll be an interesting, unpredictable trajectory for Damien after
Oh,
his win from La La Land.
well, I think it's kind of a. It must be a blessing and a curse when you come out the gate with like two really, in his case, two really big
You're
like, Whiplash was like didn't make a lot of money, but it was like got nominated for Best Picture. Like he got a lot of recognition for that. Like, and then La La
awards
Land
darling.
kind of
Yeah.
yeah, and then La La Land kind of cemented his whatever whatever talent he displayed with that. Got a lot of a lot of awards love. It did really well at the box office, made a lot of money. Musicals are a tough sell, and like that was he was able to sell that. First Man didn't do as well, but I mean, but it wasn't like a moment where like it seemed like he fell on his face. It was like, all right, it didn't do as well as
No,
La La Land, but like I think people still liked it. Um,
still a great movie.
some people think that every director needs like their like flop or like their the divisive movie. This and Babylon's his, so and he
I
he
guess
actually he
so.
said
Yeah.
he actually said recently that he's okay with that. He knew that it wouldn't be for everyone. I mean, he might just be saying that at this point.
True. He could be saving face,
That's it's
but
it's losing some money, but
it's
it
not
is what
going to bode well for those medium budget movies going forward, which is unfortunate. But good for him for making a movie that he knew wouldn't appeal to everybody, because sometimes stories that you have that you want to get out there are just worth telling, even if they're not for everybody. And I feel like Damien's one of those filmmakers that, like Marty, almost in a sense, where he doesn't necessarily care if it's for everybody. It's just he
right,
wants to tell the story. So,
right,
I really respect him as a director. I love him. He's one of my favorite up and comers, or I guess he's kind
yeah,
of here now, but younger
yeah,
generation filmmakers say that.
yeah, definitely. And then just to quickly to point out some of the SAG stuff. The SAG stuff, oh, well, with the acting categories, kind of match up a bit with the Oscars. It can. Um, the ensemble performance by a cast isn't really like a best picture indication because they're not like voting for the movie. They're voting for like best performance of the overall like cast
Right.
basically. And women talking got acknowledged there, so there's that. uh,
That's
and
right.
then the
Good
Fablemans,
for them.
everything everywhere all at once, the Banshees of Inisherin, Babylon. I think everything everywhere all at once, I think that's gonna win. That's just like my personal pick. And then yeah, outstanding performance by a male actor in the leading role. There was one curveball in here, and I'm going to name the curveball first. Adam Sandler got a
Sure.
nomination for Hustle.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Um,
was a curveball.
I did like a Scooby Doo double take when I like heard it because I was like, like what? Not that he's good in it. He is good in it, but like
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, that would have been great. But it was like surprising. But yeah, Bill Nye got nominated for Living, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Colin Farrell, of course, for The Banshees of Inisherin, and Austin Butler
Yep.
for Alice. God, wouldn't it be so funny if Adam Sandler won?
I right. And like good for him, because he's about, what I will say, two really great dramatic performances in his career, and he got a lot of love, I think, from like general audiences for them, but not necessarily from the awards. I don't remember how I wouldn't have known at the time how he did for Punch Drunk Love. I know he got some
he
recognition, and it's what did he
he
get
got a
for?
lot
Did
of
he get anything?
he got a lot no he got a lot of critical love. I think maybe the Globes might have like acknowledged him too. They're a
Right.
bit better at doing that. And then Uncut Gems, there's a big push for him to get an Oscar nomination for that, and
And he
he probably
didn't get the
deserved
nom,
one.
did he?
Yeah, he probably
Yeah,
deserved one,
I'd
but
say.
like yeah, I don't think
And
they
then
were ready yet to
no,
like give
and then he
Adam Sandler nomination.
true to his word, he said if he didn't get the nomination for Uncut Gems, he was going to make one of the worst movies we'd ever seen. And I think he gave us Murder Mystery after that. So I'd say he's a
Yeah,
man of his word, because I had to
there we
turn
go.
that off like 30 minutes in.
Yep,
Anyway, I'd love to
yep,
see that he got some recognition, even if it was a curveball. Good for him, because I'm a little tough on Adam Sandler. I'm not a comedy guy, but when he puts out a
yeah,
good dramatic performance, I'll be the first to say that he is a great actor.
yeah, for sure. And then on the lady side of things, Kate Blanchett, of course, for Tar, Viola Davis for The Woman King, Anna De Armas stuck in here again. She might get an Oscar nomination for Blonde.
I hope so. I love
Yeah.
her.
So the two biggest arguments, like on both my outlets and on Twitter, was the Adam Sandler nomination and then hers, Anna De Armas. Like,
Anna's? Yeah.
because there's like a genuine like possibility that she could pull off an Oscar nomination for Blonde.
I hope so. I want
Uh,
nothing but the best for her. So I would love to
yeah,
see her win for all I care.
yeah. I mean, like, I guess I think we kind of brought this up before. Like, whatever you feel about
Yep.
the movie, she's good in it. I'm not saying the movie's perfect, and I actually get the complaints that certain people have about it, but
Yep.
she's
Sure.
100% committed in it, and I'm not mad to see her there. I was surprised because I was like, the Golden Globes, yeah, that they do that. They would totally throw her in there. But then like
Yeah.
the Screen Actors Guild, that's a little different, and that's a little too close. That's close to the Academy, and that makes me think
Yep.
that you're thinking about her. You're really thinking about her.
Well, I still got to see Blonde, but I'm very happy to see that she's getting some love, and I'm hoping that I'm sure, no doubt, that she's feeling a little bit reinvigorated. I can't imagine if she's
Yeah,
watching any of and seeing any of the negative reactions to the movie that she's feeling good about it. So to see her performance get some recognition must feel good. So I'm
it's a
happy
little,
for
it
her.
gives it's a little validation, I think, for her. Like,
Yeah, that's a great
that's
word.
cool. And then Michelle Yeoh, of course, got nominated for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Danielle Deadweiler for Till. Now, this is a performance a lot of people haven't seen. Till didn't make a lot of money, but a lot of people who reviewed Till, uh, she was gonna be like their kind of like it'd be a wild card, but they'd be happy for her if she made it in because it's a very I saw the movie. It's a very strong performance, but like it just needs a bit more push because a lot of people haven't seen it. But the fact that SAG acknowledged her means that like they're paying attention, and then maybe the Academy's paying attention to her, much like they're paying attention to Ana de Armas and Blonde. So that's cool to see.
Yeah,
A lot of people were shocked that Michelle Williams didn't make the cut for the Fablemans. Her performance and her role in the Fablemans is a supporting role. I don't know why she's campaigning in lead, but I think that's why she missed that slot. Uh,
yeah,
uh, but for some reason she's campaigning as a lead, even though if you watch it, it's very much a supporting performance. Um, and then the supporting category: Paul Dano, The Fablemans, Brendan Gleeson, the Banshees of Inisherin. How you say this thing? Barry Coing, also in that
I've
movie.
heard some different pronunciations. I go with Keegan, but there's
Keegan.
different people. Yeah,
All right, we'll go with Keegan, and AKA the best thing about Eternals. Is also nominated for
Probably, yeah. He's
also
awesome.
the nominated K. Huey Kwan. This is your award. They might as well just give it to you, but also nominated. And then Eddie Redmayne for The Good Nurse. He might slip in there too because he's been
Okay.
the only one. He's been the only one like getting acknowledgement from that movie, and I did watch it. He's very good in it, so wouldn't be
Yeah, Eddie
surprised.
Redmayne's
And,
he's a
and
great talent.
yeah, and then on the ladies' side of things, of course, Angela Bassett, Hung Chow from The Whale. She's also kind of been in the
Mm,
mix and out. She's been in the mix and out of the
yeah.
mix, and she's back in. So good for
She
her.
had two great performances. She was in the menu as well, so I'd love to see
Yeah,
her. Her
so I
performance
loved
in The
her in
Whale
that.
was great.
I
Yeah,
loved her in the menu. She was so good.
she was
Yeah,
great in both. So love to
yeah.
see that she got some love.
Then Carrie Condon also for Banshees. I think if you spoke in that movie, I think you got nominated.
I think so. Yeah, they would have
uh,
nominated the animals if they could have.
if
I'm
they could
sure.
have, yeah. And then Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Ever All at Once, and then Stephanie, I want it's HSU. I'm not sure
Shoo.
exact.
Yeah,
Shu.
I think it's
She
Shoo. Yeah.
she's also been an outlier. Everyone's been like nominate her for Everything Ever All at Once. They actually think that she deserves a supporting nod more than her co-star Jamie Lee Curtis, but they both made the cut. So
I don't disagree with that. But yeah, it's good to see them both in there. I like her performance to me is more memorable than Jamie Lee's in it, but the fact they're both there doesn't upset me.
yeah, but yeah, that's all the movie stuff from a very crowded award season, and then we'll have a bigger picture as to what this looks like on a week from today when the Oscar
Yeah.
nominations come out. I kind of want some curveballs for sure, but we'll see.
Yeah. I like a curveball. And on that note, can we just acknowledge here? This is something I wanted to bring up just before we wrap things up with the movies.
Yeah,
In this year that we got, which I think, at least for me in the first half of the year, 2022 ended up being a much stronger movie year at the box office than anyone anticipated. The fact that the Northman and the Batman both have hardly received, I don't know, any nominations between either of them. That is just astounding to me, especially like Robert Eggers and whoever shot his movie, The Northman. The fact that they
yep.
didn't get any nominations blows me away because by April of 2022, I knew both of those movies had come out by April and they were still two in my top five from that year. I just can't believe it's truly mind blowing that they have not gotten any love from the critics
I
or the
agree
nominated
with you.
whoever.
I especially think that's true of the Batman score, which I thought was really great,
Yeah.
and it didn't even make the Oscar shortlist, so it's not even going to get nominated for score, which is crazy to me.
Wow.
And there's also, and if we were talking about the PGA's like nominating like a mainstream superhero movie, the Batman is a stronger movie than Wakanda Forever overall. So like I think it's interesting that like it's
by a
like
long shot.
and yeah, I agree with you about the Northman too. I kind of knew the Northman wouldn't be for everyone, but I at least thought that like voting bodies would like it because it's shot very well. It's a it's like everything
Yeah,
about it. Like technically, is a very good movie. I mean, I knew it wasn't gonna get like any like of the major like awards, but like the technical awards like
right.
for sure. And it's kind of been I agree. Um, I will say the Critics' Choice did nominate the Batman score, so good for him. Good for them for doing that.
Oh, did they? Okay, okay.
But no
There
one
we go.
else. Yeah, no one else has, and I agree with you. I'm glad you said that because like
Yeah, had to bring
they
it
were
up.
and they were very strong early releases from the year. And
Absolutely, they were.
no love at all. Um,
No, sad to
so I
see, but
so I guess as we kind of almost come to a close, there were two trailers that came out last week. One we had talked about. I didn't know that we were getting a new Ant-Man trailer, so that was like kind of surprising. Um, but we
right.
knew we were
Neither did I.
getting the Beau is Afraid trailer. After we got that poster, where I was like, I still don't know what this is
Yep.
about. And then I watched the trailer, and I still don't know what it's about.
Didn't answer any questions. Just raised more.
But are you're intrigued by what you see?
Oh my god, without a doubt. So viewers who listened to our episode last week know that was in my top 5 most anticipated for the year. I can't remember if yours or not.
Yep.
But so first I got to preface this by saying, what the hell is this movie going to be called? Have you looked at this movie on IMDb lately? Because it is going by another title,
So it
Mona's
was like
Choice. If you look up on
Mona's
IMDb
Choice.
right now,
Oh
it's
wow, I
called
didn't know that.
Mona's Choice, not Beau is Afraid, like it was retitled to from Disappointment Boulevard.
Boulevard.
I'm thinking this is like a gimmick. Like I think this is going. I don't know. I've never heard of this phenomenon happening to a movie before. Like one title change is enough, but it's gone through 2 now. So
you know what? It could be a gimmick. It might, yeah, that's interesting. I'm intrigued by what I see.
Yeah.
I still am confused though. I just like I don't know.
Yeah. I'm very, very excited for this movie. I also love the song. They chose Goodbye Stranger by Supertramp for the trailer song. I thought it was an awesome pick because I love that band and that song, and it just fit the vibe of what that trailer gave off very well, I think. It was a great crafted trailer. What about you? What are your thoughts on the length of trailers these days? Because this is a trend I've noticed more and more of late, where trailers are just routinely 3 minutes or just shy of 3 minutes long, and it's just crazy to me.
I like a good solid teaser trailer. I don't need to see the whole movie in 3 minutes.
No,
Like minute and a half, 2 minutes is fine. I think that's a good amount.
That's the sweet spot right there. Yeah,
for a trailer. Anything longer than that, it's just like you're giving away the whole thing. Yeah, I agree. I also hate what they do now. And this is usually for big movies. I hate that you have like a teaser for your trailer coming out tomorrow. Like there's a teaser for your teaser trailer. They do that now.
Yeah,
I think that's stupid too. I was like, I don't need to, like just you can let me know it's. Actually, don't need to let me know. Just drop it when you drop it. I don't need like a
absolutely. Like
I don't need 30 seconds of like, oh yeah, see this 30 seconds, it's gonna be 2 minutes tomorrow when we like drop our trailer. It's dumb.
It's just a trend I hope we don't see forever, because I'd like to have a little bit, to know a little bit less going into these movies sometimes. Like there's actually movies where I'll avoid watching trailers that are too long. Sometimes, like in the case with Beau was Afraid, I just can't help but be excited. Like we haven't had an Ari Aster movie in 5 years. Like I just need to see something of what's coming out about this movie. But if he had put out Midsummer 2 or 3 years ago as opposed to 5, maybe I wouldn't be so amped, and I might not have watched a 2-minute 41-second trailer. But
yeah,
I'm glad I did, because it looks phenomenal. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by what I see. I mean, like I said, I still don't know exactly what it is, but I'm intrigued to find out. My friend sent me the trailer too. It was like, this looks like something you would recommend we see, and I'm telling you right now that I'm not seeing it with you. I was like, all right.
They're lost.
I'll go along.
Trivia for that movie. Yeah. It's running at a supposed $60 million budget, which would make it to date A24's biggest budgeted movie for that studio. So that's great.
Wait, well, you know what? He's their little darling, right? So I mean, I guess they would give him some money to like make a movie. Yeah.
He has 2 home runs under his belt, so I'd say he's definitely primed for a third.
Yeah, he's been a home run for me. I mean, like I said, I had better luck recommending Hereditary.
Oh yeah,
I had less luck recommending Midsommar. I was like my friends were like, "What the fuck is this?" And I loved every moment of it. So like, I don't know.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not for everybody, I guess. But
Hereditary is
I
more traditional, but they're
yeah,
both, I think, astounding. Both 10 out of 10s, if you ask me. So
both with two very strong female lead performances too. Toni Collette
that is a
in
great point.
Hereditary, and Florence Pugh and Midsommar. Yeah, like love it.
Great point.
Uh, so yeah, now
Yeah.
we get to see Joaquin Phoenix. Lead a movie of his, which will be intriguing to see. And like Joaquin Phoenix makes some really interesting offbeat choices as an actor sometimes. So I'm intrigued about that too. I'm really excited
he
for that. Yeah.
he's one of my favorites, without a doubt, in the industry. Is this not his first role since his win for Joker? Had he done anything in between that?
I no, I think this is. I think he had been like he got roles and was shooting stuff, but I think this is the first one to get released.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, so he's been
'Cause I know
busy,
he's
that's for sure.
because I
But
know he's doing like the Napoleon thing with Ridley Scott and
oh, right, yes,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah. So yeah, he's been busy, just not nothing released yet.
Both, and yeah, not to mention this cut of this movie at one point was 4 hours long, and no doubt Ridley's is probably long as hell too. So definitely
Probably.
those are long shoots, so those would keep him busy.
Yep. So by the way, guys, if you want to see Beau is Afraid or Disappointment Boulevard, or Mona's Choice, whatever they're gonna call it, it opens on April 21st. So check that out when it opens. And then for a completely different movie trailer, for all you Marvel mainstream people out there, we got the second Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer. Um, you know what? Well, you know what I'll say about it off the bat? I feel like
Let's hear it.
I like the Ant-Man movies, but they've mostly been like fun Marvel diversions. They're like there's no real stakes. I feel like this one
Right,
looks like it's gonna have actual like stakes. Like it seems like
agreed.
it feels like real shit's gonna go down.
There's not
And
a
like
single joke in the trailer, which I was happy about because that is something that's not common in a Marvel movie these days. But you're right; it seems to have done a
right.
180 in terms of tone, which I appreciated actually from that trailer.
Yeah, and I think the director Peyton Reed also said that essentially he basically wanted the Ant-Man movies to stop being known as like the kind of fun filler, Marvel movies.
Yeah,
This one I guess is going to really matter for what is coming moving forward.
it
And
seems so. Yeah.
I think this kicks off phase 5, right? Are we in phase 5?
Yeah, it's going to be the
Yeah.
first one of Phase 5 after a disappointing-ish
Phase 4.
Phase 4, which many I hadn't even had the chance to see. But I'd say it looks like a good movie to kick off the fifth phase.
Yeah, I think so too. Um
Um,
yeah, I'm like yeah, I think that's what I like what I initially got from, like I said, I agree with you. There's no like there was less like fun and less jokes and like more like, oh, this is something that's going to be very serious. Not like, very like serious,
mm.
but like, you know, I feel like in the same way I felt like watching the Guardians Volume 3 trailer, I feel like
Yeah,
something of like emotional importance is going to happen in this Ant-Man movie. Uh and
yeah.
that might surprise people. Um
Mm.
you know, and I don't know if that means that someone's going to like bite the dust or like whatever it is, but like something important I think is going to
Yeah.
transpire given what we
I gotta
see here.
say, I love that moment in the trailer near the end where Paul Rudd, Scott Lang is the character, right?
Right?
He's like, I don't have to win, we both just have to lose. I was like,
Lose.
that's a pretty sweet line. I
Yep.
although back to my point earlier, they show way too much in this trailer. It's way too long. I feel like they show maybe it might not all go how it's presented in the trailer, obviously, but like just way too many set pieces of which are
Yeah.
all. I don't think there's a single actual shot in this movie. I'm quoting my friend who made this point, but he's absolutely right. This is a like Christian Bale said when he was filming Thor, like all it is sound stages and green screen, and this movie is no different.
Yeah.
Um, but they do show a lot of the quantum realm, and I think a lot of some late movie stuff in this trailer that I was like, why are you doing that? Well, don't gotta show us all that. But
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
a
I agree.
complaint I had.
And I feel like the more they show in the quantum realm, it just opens himself up for all these like fun little on Twitter, like them comparing it to shots from like one of the Spy Kids movies, because it does like the visual
Yeah.
the visual palette looks very similar. And it's like,
Yes.
oh, like uh and I thought that was like really funny. I was like, oh, that's probably like the last comparison that they want. 'Cause I think it's from Spy Kids.
Yeah.
I think it's 3 or 4. I can't remember. Like only the first 2 are decent, and then like I think they made
Right.
5 of those movies. Jesus Christ, I can't even remember.
Jesus.
But yeah, the comparison shots are like super hilarious.
Well, no
Uh,
doubt the effects will be much better, but I get what you're saying too. I hadn't seen that comparison, but it is totally true. Now
yeah,
thinking about
it's
watching it.
hilarious. But yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is opening February 17th. So very soon, we'll be
Yeah.
able to check that out. Um,
31st movie in the MCU. They're past
that's
30 now.
great. That's crazy. And
Yeah,
then DC,
it is
DC just
insane.
struggling to get through how many?
I don't not nearly that. I don't know. I don't even
Not
know their
nearly
count,
that.
but it's nowhere. Are they even in the double digits? I don't even know.
I
Like,
don't
it's
even know.
crazy.
And for good movies, they're definitely not in the double digits.
No, not even close.
Not even all.
Yeah, and Quantumania is rocking a $200 million budget, supposedly right about now. I think that's before marketing and everything as well. So
Marketing.
that quite the difference between the budgets between Beau was Afraid and Ant-Man, but we'll see how they
Yeah.
translate at the box office. I know
Well, that's
I'll absolutely yeah.
yeah. I thought. I mean, that's kind of cool that now, like it's like I said, they've always been fun movies, but I think it is cool that like it that this franchise itself will kind of have a moment to be like taken a little bit more seriously than maybe if they were previously. Because I do think they were viewed or kind of viewed as like the filler between like better Marvel movies, like better, like more events.
Yeah,
But and like I'm glad that they're
right.
giving this one. Oh, and I want to mention just Jonathan Majors, who's having like one hell of a I guess year. I mean, he's going to be in this. He's going to be in Creed 3. He was just in Devotion
Oh
in
yeah.
November. He's of course playing Kang. He's going to be a big part of like one of the Avengers movies coming up. Uh, he looks and sounds amazing in it. I feel like he's going to be very good in this as well. I just wanted to like shout him out because I didn't get a chance to, but yeah,
Yeah.
guy's having a hell of a time right now. They
Yeah.
have these 2 movies coming out almost back to back, so good for him.
A
um,
couple villainous roles too. It
yeah,
says a lot of things about your talent as an actor, so good for
yeah,
him.
yeah, I agree. Well, that I think that might wrap us up as far as talking about the current award season. And a couple of movie trailers that we want to talk about. Um, of course, I will say what we had said offline. We were trying to figure out when we were going to record for
Hmm.
next week, and we have like Monday as the day, but since like the Oscar nominations are going to come out Tuesday, we're going to be recording on Tuesday, so you actually will hear our reactions to the Oscar nominations that Thursday that week instead of waiting until the following week to hear what those are. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see what gets picked, what doesn't, what matches up with the nominations we've had from these other award shows so far. Who got left out? Who got snubbed? Who was a surprise? Uh, did they nominate enough women? I don't know. There's gonna be all that,
I can't wait, man. It's like Christmas morning to me. I
like
love
Christmas,
Oscars
yeah,
and the nominations day, so I can't wait to chat the nominations
yeah,
next week with you guys all.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and also before that, we'll give you a little behind the scenes thing here too. Before that episode, we're going to record a little something for the 15th anniversary of Cloverfield. So you're going to get a lot from us within between this week and next week. Just a quick little revisit, about the movie and like what it was like when it came out. I got a few good responses from people on Instagram about their experience with the movie that we're going to share on the episode. So you'll be able to hear that as well. So like a lot of good
Awesome.
things coming already. And since there is so much coming, thank God you have a really good mic now, so everyone can hear.
That's right.
Everyone can hear how great you sound, and
Yes, rejoice. I am very
rejoice,
excited.
bask in the joy of Jackson's voice and full audio. um, but yes, as always, you can find us on all your various podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Good Pods, wherever you get your podcasts fix. Thank you guys for continuing to support us on Good Pods. We do very well on there. I also just got our analytics for Apple Podcasts. We've been doing very well on there too. And then since I didn't get to do this on our last episode, I want to also thank everyone for our podcast network for playlists. We were their most streamed podcast of 2022 with 41,000 downloads. So thank you very much for
That is
that.
incredible.
Jackson hopped on like right after I found that out. So we will see what we can do in 2023 to maybe like top that number. And
Pressure's
yeah.
on, folks.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you
Spread the
so much
word.
for thank you so much for your continued support. And we will catch you next time, guys. Peace.
See you next week, guys.